What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back with SRL and of course AOR in the one video. So I think you probably know what's going to happen, judging by the title, but we will digress. Let's go through it anyway. SRL, the British Grand Prix, kind of like predominantly known as a bit of a wheel track now on the recent F1 games. The Maggots, Beckett's Chapel section, very high speed, quick change of direction. Very hard for the pad to kind of compete a little bit through there. So there is a small advantage here at the British Grand Prix here. So we're going to try and make the most of it. There are a lot of tracks on the F1 calendar on F1 2017 that, you know, do favour the pad. And so with those tracks coming up, I feel like we do need to make the most of this circuit here today. So you can see we're currently in P2 at the moment, sitting on a 127.5. It's a little bit slow, in all honesty. I think you need to be in the 26s to be in with a really solid time and a good chance of pole position. But you can see we're up by 0.03 of a second on our previous best. We're purple by 0.03, but we're up by, I think it was almost 0.2 going through the first sector split. But yeah, you can see we got a really nice run through Brooklands, I think it was. We're nearly up by 0.2 as we head through Cops. The old turn 1 completely flat out in the 2017 spec of F1 car. It is loosely known as a bit of an oval, this track. Like, literally a lot of these corners are just so flat out, so fast, and almost feels like the cars are too big for this circuit, or the track is, the cars are too good for this circuit. Like, there's hardly any braking zones, and it really is just go flat out pretty much all the way around the circuit. We go through Stowe now, run a little bit wide there. You can see I'm losing time on my delta, unfortunately, so we were 0.4 up at the peak of our best chance, but we're going to fall short maybe a little bit by another 10th as we come across the line, and we do a 27.1. So it was a solid time, but just not quite like AOR split 1 pace, if you know what I mean. This is Dominator going through the Stowe corner. He went out so far wide. That was, I mean, I went out wide, but he just kept his foot flat to the floor, and that was a bit of a piss take, in all honesty. He goes pole with a 127.0 and in the end gets beaten by HO, who does a 26.8. So full congrats to HO. He did a phenomenal job there to get pole position. New Zealand Ryan P4, Warden P5, 0.7 away for pretty much both of those guys. Jared P6. So yeah, a lot of time for those guys to find. That was certainly better than that. They didn't hook up their laps, but we didn't really hook up our lap either. So hopefully in the race, things will be a little bit closer between all of us. But we do have track position over our main championship rivals, and for the most part, that is what's most important for this race. But here we go, 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix, and we are underway on board with New Zealand Ryan. Looks like he got a better start than what I did off the line. He puts it straight up into Rich. Heading through turn 1, he'll try and make the most of this as we go clean around the outside. And HO is actually swiped at Dominator, and he's out of the race. Our 2 contenders for the race win here on the front row of the grid have collided, and Dominator is out in his return to SRL. HO seems to be lagging around quite a bit here in the opening phases of this Grand Prix. We now inherit P2 in this Grand Prix. New Zealand Ryan following through in 3rd place. Warden P4. But man, HO's car, I don't know. It seems to be warping around a little bit. We need to get in front of him ASAP, because there could be some kind of incident. We just want to avoid that if possible. Going through the S's. It's all over. Front wing damage. And our chances of winning this race are now done. I can't believe that. Orange front wing around the British Grand Prix. This is probably the worst circuit on the calendar to have front wing damage, because there's so many high-speed corners, and you're going to be losing time hand over fist throughout the entirety of the lap. But it puts us in a really weird position now, because it's too early to pit to go into mediums. Mediums won't actually make it to the end. We'll have to probably do like a good few laps before we can go on to the mediums and run to the end of the race. We're actually going to be on the slower strategy as well. The faster strategy is to be on the soft compound tyres and we're going to be on the mediums. We're just going to be so slow. HO sets a 1 minute 30.4 as his fastest lap of the race. We'll see what our time is versus his. We've done a 33.6, and we backed that up with another 33.7. 2 laps in a row. So you can see we're losing over 3 seconds a lap, 3.1 seconds a lap slower than our rival with orange front wing damage. It's absolutely killed our race. We're on the back straight, and HO is coming up to the club section. We're pretty much, well, getting close to a pit stop behind already. Absolutely killed our race, man. Like, HO's laggy car took out Dominator, then it took out us. We're coming into the pits now. 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, trying to make up some time, and our race is well and truly buried at this point. And it comes at a race where we were like in front of Ryan and Warden, and that doesn't happen too often at a track where we had the advantage as well. I was definitely faster than Ryan and Warden, and crap like this happens. But we've got to get on with it. We have a championship to think about, and we can't just retire, mope around at the back. We've got to get on with things and see if we can get some good points today. So that's exactly what I did. You can see we're already cutting halfway through the race. I was just putting in qualifying lap after qualifying lap. I knew the tyres would be able to make it to the end, so I was just, yeah, full YOLOing it, just giving it everything, trying to catch the cars in front. We've already got up to P9 after a few people make their stops, so we've undercut a few people despite being on the slower tyre. Poms has actually gone for the slower tyre as well. So, RIP to both of us, but you can see we've got a pretty big pace advantage over Poms here, and we'll see if we can make advantage of that as we head into Brooklands now. Up the inside, 4th gear. Can't quite make the move stick. We'll see if we can do a switch back on Poms here, and maybe getting up the inside into the old turn 1, but we just get a bit of a bad exit there, so we'll have to bide our time for now. Going through the S's section, this is where the wheel really comes into its own with a change of direction, and also the tyre wear as well. The wheel really looks after its front tyres and gives us more bite as the race goes on. But we're in the slipstream of Poms. We go to the inside right at the last second, and there we go, into P7. That's our first overtake of the race, believe it or not. So there you go. Some action, finally. We learnt from the previous lap that going around the outside wasn't the way to do it. We had to dive to the inside, just like we did to a certain Master Berserk a couple of weeks ago. That spot seems to be a pretty happy hunting ground for me, so there you go. But anyway, lap 18 now, still pushing on. We still continue to find pace in this car, in this track, as the race goes on, despite the tyres really starting to go off now. They're getting up into the 70-odd% region, but we're still finding time. We're in the DRS of Owens now, and this is for a spot inside the top 5, going purple to the first sector, following him through the S's, and again, the wheel, so good through here. I don't know, maybe it's the wheel, maybe it's my setup, a combination of the two, but yeah, just looking after our front tyres, and around Silverstone, that really does help quite a lot. Owen's really struggling for both understeer and maybe exit oversteer as well. The balance of his car doesn't seem to be varying all too well at the moment, and he looks to be really struggling at this back end of the race, so we're going to see if we can make the most of that. We've still got a bit of fuel left as well, so we can afford to run in rich, probably for about 2 laps, and then we'll have to think about saving some fuel, but we may not need to think about that as we dive to the inside through the turn 3 corner, and he leaves us plenty of space. It's going to be side by side through turns 5 and possibly 6 now as we open the DRS. Slipstream, not too sure if Slipstream is still working in this race. A few people have left the lobby. We got the inside, and that is us up into the top 5. Warden up next, and only 5 seconds away, which I thought was pretty interesting because, like I said, we're on the slower strategy. We had a 5-second wing change. We've had to overtake a lot of cars, and to be within 4.4 seconds of Warden, despite all of our issues, really does display the pace that we had today to really close in the gap. Because at one stage, we were last by 20 seconds to the nearest car, and we come across the line and get P4. Okay, so P4 in the British Grand Prix. HO is your winner of the Silverstone Grand Prix. I think New Zealand Ryan came home in second. He didn't quite have the pace to match it with HO, and I think maybe as well he was playing it a bit cautious. trying not to get involved with his laggy car, because I believe it was lagging the entirety of the race. So even if Ryan did get a little bit close, there might not have been too much he could have done in actually getting past, because his car was just all over the place. But yeah, we get P4 in the Grand Prix, despite the game saying we got P6. The game adds on another 5-second time penalty because you didn't serve it during the race. But once that gets removed, we'll get P4, because Warden had 9 seconds worth of corner cutting penalties, and we were clear of Owens by more than 5 seconds ourselves when we finished the Grand Prix. So it's P4. Could have been so much more, man. Like, we had supreme pace. We were P2 with HO right in front of us, and I felt like my race pace was really, really good. We won here in AOR, so I really felt like we could have converted it in SRL as well, but that's not the case. The gap is 14 points in the championship, extending the gap to Warden a little bit, but Ryan really is starting to get away now, and that's becoming a bit of an issue, especially when you consider that I'm going to be going away in a couple of weeks. Maybe missing one, or at least one, maybe 2 races. But here we are for AOR. This is the Belgian Grand Prix, and once again, we're going to be targeting a race win. Qualifying pace might not be the best, but hopefully in the race, we can make our way through the traffic and potentially at least get on the podium once again. But here we are for qualifying. You can see up ahead we've got a McLaren of Funk Guru with a red X against his name, and that means his car has desynced and we had to completely abort our lap. Unbelievable. Fucking Fens 2.0. And that right there was actually my live reaction. I did a live stream earlier this week, and I forgot to turn off the live commentary feature on the Elgato software, so if you hear any gear shifts, if you hear any squeaking, that is my brake pedal, and you'll hear my comments probably at some point. So I think this is going to be a one-off, but since this is part of the raw file that was recorded, I might as well incorporate it into my video anyway and see what I'm saying over the course of the race weekend. Might be a little bit interesting, but yeah, with our first run ruined, we've lost a lot of time in the session. You can see we're now out on a set of super soft tyres. This was actually always going to be the plan, because like I said, my qualifying pace was not great. I felt like on the balance of things, I was probably a little bit slower than Ryan and potentially Warden as well this weekend. And HO as well, who was mega fast around this racetrack. He set like the world record on Xbox this week in time trial. Outstanding. I just didn't quite have that pace, so I thought I think it's probably better if we qualify on the super soft tyres and play ourselves into the race a little bit better with an alternate strategy. The ultras really die off so quickly over the course of the race. They're only good for like 3 laps, and then the super softs are faster. So yeah, hopefully we can qualify well and do like an overcut on the supers, then have fresher tyres for the second half of the race and win the race that way. So that's what we're going to try, because like I said, the outright pace just isn't quite there this weekend, and I'm not too sure why. Just I don't want to bring up practice as an excuse, because we all probably had similar levels of practice, but things just not quite gelling this weekend. But you can see we're up by 2.5 tenths as we go through the bus stop chicane now. Went in a little bit deep, maybe a little bit distracted by Jared, who was going slowly, getting it out of our way. Rushed the corner a little bit too much and lost a tenth across the line, and it is a 1 minute 44.0. So there you go, it puts us P8 with 20 seconds left to go in the session. I think a few people might improve and we get demoted to 9th. So Ryan gets pole, surprisingly. His qualifying pace was still very good. HO, like I said, was probably the fastest guy out of all of us. The expectation was on him to get pole. He didn't quite get there, but he was oh so close, 900ths away. Super soft tyres, it was a decent lap. It was really quite good. There wasn't too much I could have improved on, apart from the final chicane. But the delta between the ultras and the supers is 7 tenths, and if you take that, we probably would have been P4. But and that's not too bad. But now we're in the race, and this is where things count. So we're going to be down the order a little bit with the slower tyre initially. But like I said, we're going to play ourselves in very quickly with the ultra soft tyre dying off so quickly. This is going to be a race. This is going to be a real race, and I'm really looking forward to it. We made a late change as well to the setup. We were originally running with like 1.7 wings. Changed it to 1.6 to hopefully be better on the straight and maybe get better turn in. I'm not too sure. But 5 red lights and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. Bit of wheel spin off the start, but otherwise not too bad. We're maintaining our position as we head into turn 1. New neon tree dome going around the outside of everyone. Not quite making it stick and almost losing a place to me there. Jetson F1, also on the same strategy as what I am, and he'll be one to watch as well on the back of us. So we're leading the charge on the super soft tyres as we go up our rouge for the first of 22 laps. And everyone slipstreaming each other on the Kemmel Straight, and it's actually one of the worst places to be in pole position because everyone can slipstream past you. But I believe New Zealand Ryan up front has maintained the lead of the Grand Prix. You can see us putting pressure on Neon Tridome. He runs wide, getting caught up with Chimchar there in P7. And now we're going to have a little look up the inside into this right-hander, and that is us up in a P8. So whatever positions we get now are absolutely gold. And that's Poms to the win, desynced. Poms is lagging. Cheers to that one, Ben. It looks like he's fully lagged out of the session, and he's gone. We're not going to see him for the rest of this race now. So pretty unfortunate for Poms. He qualified well, started the race well, and just by no fault of his own is now out of the race. This is on board with Ryan now. HO is putting him under pressure. He's going to go round the outside on the Kemmel Straight into Lakeholm. He turns in a little bit too early, maybe across Ryan if I'm being harsh, and can't quite get the move done, and he'll have to settle into P2. HO has a lot of pace, and he is looking to flex the muscles in the early stages of this Belgian Grand Prix. I believe Warden is P3 in this little squabble here. It looks like he's fighting away with Master Berserk and also Jared. So it might be Jared who's in P3. I'm not too sure. I wish I had some POVs from those guys. Seems to be a lot of squabbling back there, which is really playing into the hands of both Ryan and HO. You can see a bit of a gap emerging. Only 2 laps into this Grand Prix already. And yeah, Ferraris, the guys on the ultra soft tyres already seemingly starting to struggle. Master Berserk now under pressure from Chimchar. He looks like he's sliding around all over the place, probably not looking after his tyres all too much. Chimchar goes for a move around the outside at No Name, and it looks like he might get the move done here. Master Berserk still hanging it in there up the inside, heading into Puon. Chimchar can't quite make the corner, runs wide, and this is just perfect for us because now we move up into P6. And another free position for us. Didn't have to work too hard for that. Just tucked it in quite nicely. Left space on the outside, sorry. And that is the position done. Next up, Master Berserk, like you can see. I'm just going to send it, to be honest. Okay. Bit of live commentary from me there. Looks like he's, like I said, really struggling. And I said I was going to send it. Was going to have a look up the inside, but he blocked off the move. And that was like, okay, we have a fight on our hands. On lap 4 of this Belgian Grand Prix. You can see he's getting oversteer. He can't quite hold it around the outside there through Puon, and I'm losing so much time getting stuck behind him. Oh, and you're going to have some live com right now, but beware, there's some language. Oh, fuck me! Hurry it up! You brake checking me, dude? Fuck! Jesus Christ! I did say warning about the language. Apologies. I was very, very hyped up at this point. Car's lagging, man. Sorry. And had to apologize to Master Berserk and also everyone else in the party who was listening to me shouting there. But as you probably understand, tensions were really high at this point. Master Berserk's car was actually lagging back towards me. I had to jump on the brakes right at the last second to avoid losing my front wing because that was what was happening. And we managed to get past him at the bus stop, I believe, and now here he is having a little look around the outside into Lakecom, but nothing really happens there. I think our cars are kind of desynced a little bit. Maybe he was a lot closer to me than what he actually was on my screen. It was a bit weird, and he said himself that he was actually downloading something during the race. He didn't know he was downloading a game or something on his Xbox, so that was why he was lagging around a little bit. So, yeah, apologies about the rage. I said that to Master Berserk as well at the time. Everyone that could hear me, we were all in a party, me, Ryan, Warden, maybe a couple other people as well, Jetson. So we're all kind of interacting, getting a bit sweaty, and you know, these things happen. Like it's very intense in a league race. Like you don't want to get held up, and that was my mind frame at that point in the race. Ryan was getting away with HO, so I knew I had to get a move on and get past MasterBerserk. That's why I didn't want to put up with lag, especially what happened 2 days earlier with the Silverstone race, like you saw earlier. But this is Fun Guru. He's now lagging around and desyncing in front of Ryan. He thankfully managed to avoid him. But unfortunately for Warden, he was not so lucky. And he is out of the Grand Prix. Just, on a level, I'm really gutted for Warden. Like, he did not deserve to be taken out of the Grand Prix like that. I felt his lag in qualifying. Now Warden has felt it in the race. And this is Ryan getting tangled up with some laps cars. Legal overtake, had to give the position back, but because it was actually on the ghost car that was like out of the race, someone had disconnected or quit. He overtook him under yellow flags. It was an unfair penalty, and now he'll have 10 seconds added onto his race time, and hopefully that gets appealed and Ryan can press on without having to worry about that for the rest of the race. But meanwhile, for us, I knew all of that stuff was going on because I could hear from the party chat, you know, Warden got destroyed by Fun Guru. Fun Guru was still circulating and getting in the way of other people in the kind of midfield who had already stopped. And I stayed out maybe a lap longer than what I probably should have because I wanted to like overcut Fun Guru and not get involved in that stuff. So I decided to stay out on the supers. But here we are on the soft compound tyres. We've now got the best part of like 5 lap fresher tyres, 4 or 5 lap fresher tyres and everyone else around us. So now we should be able to press on at a pretty reasonable pace for the rest of the Grand Prix. The only thing is we have to work our way through some traffic once again. Have to overtake MasterBerserk, we have to overtake Jared, we have to overtake HO, New Zealand Ryan, and Brock Does Stuff, who hasn't stopped yet at this point, who started on the soft compound tyres. But as you can see, we're banging in the fastest laps, 1 minute 47.1. Pretty solid time. A really good time would be in the 46s, so hopefully we can do that at some point. We're in the DRS now of MasterBerserk, and I think he actually lets me go here. He's in lean revs. This is why we're closing in so much, and he just gave me the corner. Didn't have to do that, in all honesty, but given what was happening earlier and the lag, I think he was just playing it safe there. So fair play to MasterBerserk. He recognized that we had so much more pace than what he did. I think we were lapping like a second a lap faster than him the opening few laps of that soft compound tyre stint. So incredible pace at this stage, and now from here on in we were just trying to apply the pressure to DRC Jared, who's a few seconds up the road, and you can see we're closing him in, but not quite by the same margin as what we were to MasterBerserk. DRC Jared has slightly fresher tyres than what Burke did, and his consistency just seems to be that much better, looking after his tyres and not making any mistakes. So we're going to be pretty hard pressed to close him in for the final few laps. To be fair, the soft compound tyres are actually really holding on quite well at the back end of this race, and this actually isn't really playing into my strategy all too well. Like if there was more tyre wear possibly at this track, then our strategy today would have really worked better, but we're not making quite the gains that I would have hoped, especially on these top 3 guys. But 2 laps to go. We're getting dangerously close. Yes, we are actually going to get DRS this time. I thought we might have missed out, but that is not the case. We set a 46.9 on the previous lap, just before getting slipstream, and now Jared is really under pressure. He's made a mistake now at Puon. His car is a little bit unstable, whereas our car, I felt like all weekend the car was so stable. I never really felt like the car was going to snap at me, so maybe the setup was a little too conservative. I'm not too sure, but either way, absolutely full pressure now, trying to get past Jared. We're fairly close now on this back straight, the run into Blanchimont. We might have a little look up the inside into the bus stop chicane, but you can see we're not quite close enough. If we do dive it, that's quite a considerable dive, and probably would result in some contact, so probably best not to lunge it at that location. So as we head on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, we've really just got to set this up. So you guys are going to follow me on board here for this final lap, and you can see the behaviour characteristics of both of our cars. Jared getting a little bit conservative under brakes there. I mounted the curb too much in an effort to not make contact. And that actually screwed up my exit massively. And turn 1 is probably the most crucial corner on the entire track here at Spa. And that bad exit, we just lost time all the way down the straight. So there's pretty much no chance of us overtaking there in the first sector. So we're going to have to get close to him in the middle sector. We have better tyres, so we'll see what we can do. We are in the dirty air, of course, so we're having to, you know, fight that resistance of dirty air, which is just kind of holding us back a little bit from unlocking our true potential. But with the better tyres, with the better pace, we should still be able to get close enough to the point where maybe we can go for a dive into the bus stop chicane. We'll have to wait and see. A good run through P1 once again. Jared cleans up his act through there and gets a nice run. But now you can see he's really starting to feel the pressure. I kind of ran wide through that right-hander. Rear tyres are starting to go off for him now, and he's just trying to manage the gap as best as what he possibly can. Nice clean exit for us. We're going to use rich revs here. We've got plenty of fuel to burn here, so that's not going to be an issue. We're really close. Close as what we've ever been for the entirety of this Grand Prix. I think New Zealand Ryan is going to cross the line now to win the Grand Prix, so full congrats to him. But this is our battle. This is the battle for the podium. We might go for a dive up the inside. No, he covers it off. We're going to go to the outside and see if we can lunge it up the inside into the final left-hander. There's a bit of contact as Jared turns in for the corner. It's going to be side by side across the line, and it is 4th place. 4th place for the Belgian Grand Prix. Fair play to Jared for just holding on there. I think I actually slowed this down on my editing software and like reviewed it freeze frame. I actually finished in 3rd on my screen, but with the desync, there's a slight little bit of desync between everyone. That's a bit natural. On my screen, I was 3rd as I crossed the line, but on Jared's screen, he was 3rd as he crossed the line. And yeah, he gets the podium. But what I didn't realize is Jared has a 10-second stop-go penalty for cutting the final chicane at some point over the course of the lap, so we might potentially get 3rd place in this race. We'll have to wait and see though, I'm not entirely sure on that. But either way, 3rd, 4th, it's still a decent result. It could have been much worse. It could have been like what happened with Warden, getting taken out by a laggy car, and that's, you know, it's not what anyone wants. But that's the Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. The strategy in the end didn't quite work out. We weren't really close enough to do anything about the top 2. We were the best part of 7-8 seconds behind Ryan and HO when they made their stops, and we made up time, but just not enough. We had to overtake a lot of cars, and we had a very clean run getting through all the traffic, but still it wasn't enough. So full congrats to Ryan. He drove superbly. I believe he will keep his win with the penalty getting removed for the illegal overtake on the car that wasn't in the race. HO, 2nd place, 18 points. He had incredible pace, put Ryan under pressure, but Ryan is just an absolute machine in the race and never really makes mistakes himself. So that was the Grand Prix. I'll have the driver's standings up on screen. I believe I've now moved up into 2nd in the driver's standings after the unfortunate circumstances that happened for Warden. So again, more big gains in the constructors for Mercedes, but in terms of the drivers, Ryan has a pretty much unassailable lead at this point. It looks very, very commanding, shall we say. So Ryan may potentially already have one hand on the trophy halfway through the season. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about these videos. Should I possibly do separate videos? I've realized this video was really blown way out of proportion. It should have been, I don't know, this Spa could have been a video all by itself, but I thought SRL was probably lacking a little bit on the action side. So maybe going forward I'll do separate videos for each league race. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.